Hey, welcome to another episode of Clear Light Connections, where we talk to the people behind the businesses of Bay Area Houston. We are proudly sponsored by UTMB Health. Special guest today with Rodeo Houston, Richard Gruen. Tell us what you do with the rodeo.
Hi, Jameson. First of all, thank you and the Chamber for having me back again. It was a year ago when we did a podcast, and it's hard to believe that we're already a year down the road. My role with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, I'm one of the 35,000 volunteers. Specifically, this is my 24th year on the Speakers Committee for the rodeo.
So I've known some people on some of the committees, and the time commitment it can be just outrageous. And talk to us about what somebody can expect when they join some of these committees that work the actual rodeo part.
So we have 110 different committees, and it's really interesting. Back in just 2007, which doesn't seem like that long ago, we were talking about 17,000 volunteers, 90 committees. So when we fast forward to this year, we've more than doubled the number of volunteers, and we've added 20 committees. And each of those committees is very different. So some of the committees may do all of their work before the rodeo ever starts. Other committees are sales committees where the people on the committee need to sell maybe carnival tickets, season tickets to meet their requirement. Other committees like the Speakers Committee, we actually work throughout the entire year because we're there to promote the rodeo. And so if someone's interested in joining a committee, they need to look at what the time commitment might be. But there really is something for everyone, and it's a great opportunity to be involved with a really an incredible event.
And it's important to remember it's all about kids and growing agricultural awareness and scholarships. I mean, that's you guys are one of the biggest scholarship organizations in the entire country, if I remember correctly.
You do remember correctly. And historically, our first rodeo scholar was a man by the name of Ben Dickerson, who was attending Bel Air High School in Houston. And in 1957, he received a $2,000 scholarship. And that $2,000 in in 1957, from what I understand, almost paid for his entire tuition at Texas A&M University. Today, we're talking about 4-year scholarships, $20,000, with the opportunity to qualify for an additional $16,000 for our scholars during their junior and senior years in college.
And every single high school in the Houston metro area gets one of these, has at least one scholarship. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's just an astounding number. And how far out does that reach go?
Our region actually, we have scholars coming from both the Houston area as well as the surrounding counties.
And so back to this sense of volunteerism. What got you started in it, and what's the common theme that most people have when they join the rodeo? Because every time I ask somebody if they're on a rodeo committee, they've been doing it for at least 10 years. It's like once they're in, they stay. Talk to me about how you guys do that. How do you build that loyal base of volunteers? Again,
I would tell you that everyone kind of comes at the rodeo and getting involved for different reasons. And in my particular case, I really like the sport of rodeo. And back when I moved to Houston in 1970, the rodeo actually started in early February. Now the opening date will be February 28th and will run through March 19th. But I just really enjoyed coming to rodeo. And back in 2000, I went through a job change where my schedule, I felt, gave me time to look at becoming one of the volunteers. And it turned out a friend of mine said, you need to talk to the people that are the chairman of the Speakers Committee, because they thought it was a fit for me. And it certainly worked out.
And with so many committees, there's something for everybody. I mean,
there really is. And if someone's interested in becoming involved, I believe if you'll go to the rodeo's website, which is rodeohouston.com, and you'll find a way where it says get involved in one of the drop-down menus, and it will talk about committees. And you'll actually, in a drop-down menu, you'll be able to look at all 110 committees with a brief description of what that committee does. And then if you're interested, you can apply online.
So it's a lot of hard work. 35,000 of you. Are there any perks to being a volunteer?
There are. But I would tell you, I think most of us are doing this just because it's the right thing to do in our lives to be volunteers. But when a person meets their committee requirements, they get a gold badge, and that gold badge gives them the entrance onto the grounds of the rodeo, and also during the rodeo itself, their gold badge gives them an opportunity to come into the stadium, watch the rodeo, watch the entertainer. Seating is, with a gold badge, is not guaranteed, and so if we're sitting in a seat and the actual ticket holder comes, we are glad to say, thank you very much. I'm sorry I was in your seat, and we move on. And then we get some free parking and other opportunities to participate.
But if you're attending every night, that's got to be exhausting. I mean, it's such a commitment if you're doing every night.
It would be. And there are people that may only go to the rodeo, volunteers, their shifts or their commitment, as I said, could have been even done before the rodeo. And some people may go 3 nights out of 20. Some people may go 5 nights out of 20. Because I'm retired, I actually do hit most of the 20 performances.
But your favorite is the opening ceremony.
Well,
one of your favorites.
The grand entry is part of rodeo tradition, but I do want to point out that this year we were looking for something to do to top all of the 90th anniversary activities that we did. So this is the 91st year for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And on opening day, we have a couple really special things. The first 10,000 people paid admission onto the rodeo grounds, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, will receive a custom-made Howdy bobblehead. And that's something that's never been done before. And then the other thing is, at noon on opening day, February 28th, we'll also have a big parade around the grounds of NRG Park. And in the old days, we used to have a daily parade, and then when construction started and things changed, we stopped doing the daily parades. But on opening day, there will be a daily parade around noon.
So you've been at this a long time. Like you said, in 2007, you've doubled the number of volunteers since then. What's the secret to Rodeo Houston? Because it seems like every year you're breaking attendance records. What's the secret?
I'm not sure there's a secret. Again, I think it's so individualized. The rodeo is not for everyone, and there are people that don't like the rodeo. But for those of us that really do, there's just the magic of all of the different things that take place. And of course, it's family-friendly entertainment. There are a lot of things for kids to do. But I'm not sure that I can tell you that there's a secret that's
it seems to me that an organization doesn't get to stick around for 91 years without constantly evolving, constantly trying new things. Like you said, this time you're trying the parade in the ground. It's almost like every year there's something added, and it almost does make it something for everybody.
Well, definitely there is something added every year. And this year, for the first time ever, on March 8th, we're going to have Community Day. And on Community Day, everyone will be admitted onto the grounds, and that's the grounds where you have Ag Venture, the sales pavilion, the livestock, the carnival. Everyone will be admitted onto the grounds free until noon. We have never done that before, and we have a generous sponsor that's making that happen. But March 8th is a great day. Fill up the car, bring all the folks, get to the rodeo before noon. And also on that day, until 4 o'clock, there will be some buy one, get one rides in the carnival. And there'll also be some lower price food vendors offering special $3 food samplings until 4 o'clock. And again, something new this year. Again, the Howdy bobblehead, things like the opening day parade. And this year also, for the first time on March 4th, we're going to have a drone show, a lighted drone show in the evening. Something brand new.
Yeah, it's. I think there's a valuable lesson there for any organization that you've got to keep growing, because if you're not growing, the obvious, the inverse is true. And
Sure.
It just seems like everything you guys do turns to gold. I mean, the attendance records just keep falling year after year. I mean, obviously we had, the COVID years, but you're right back to where you were before that, aren't you?
I would say every bit of that and then some. And I think it's important for people listening to realize that during the COVID years, although we had a year where we had to stop the rodeo very abruptly after only 8 performances, and then the following year we weren't able to have a rodeo, that in both those years, the children never suffered. The rodeo still maintained its scholarship commitment. And our scholarship commitment this year is a little over $22 million. And that includes direct scholarships. It includes our junior exhibitors. It includes some grants to nonprofits and some graduate or some assistantships. But this year, with that commitment, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo since 1957 will have given out more than $575 million to support the youth of Texas.
Well, it's amazing because I think part of being a Houstonian is you've got to go to the rodeo. It's interlinked with living in this city. But I think the rodeo, not only have you guys done such a great job getting so many volunteers, but you guys get great sponsors, and the shows are top notch. Talk about how they go about doing that. That's just amazing.
So the entertainment and the lineup, that's a staff function, and it's something that, as soon as one rodeo is over, I know the staff are already looking at what can they do for the next year. I think that the thing that's important to realize is that over the years, what the staff have done, that as they've looked at entertainment, they've done things to make the lineup more diverse and more attractive to a wider audience. And so this year, we have one of the top Christian performers. Several years ago, we had an Asian K-pop group. And then, of course, we have days like Black Heritage Day, where we'll have Bun B's Southern Takeover, Go Tejano group, Go Tejano Day, where there'll be a very popular Tejano band. So a lot of the challenge is finding entertainers that are also available during the time frame of the rodeo. Sometimes people want to know why a certain entertainer hasn't been booked, and it may be simply that their schedule didn't allow, they weren't available at the time frame. But that's a staff function and a very highly guarded secret leading up to the announcement. This year, we actually had some previews of coming entertainment, and we announced opening day a little earlier, but our big reveal was back on January 5th.
Yeah, and it's amazing because really Houston Rodeo has its pulse on the city of Houston. I mean, it's the most diverse city in America, maybe the world, and like you said, you're booking acts accordingly.
Yes, and again, the rodeo continues. The staff working with the volunteers. What we want to do is, for instance, Community Day. Community Day on March 8th will be a way for everyone to enjoy the rodeo. Some people think that maybe coming to the rodeo is going to be very, very expensive. And it really, on Community Day, it's the day to come, and because there will be something for everyone.
Well, and even without Community Day, you guys put on a really great show at a very affordable price. It is definitely family friendly when it comes to the budget.
Yes, and I can tell you, for people that want to just come onto the grounds, daily admission for an adult 13 and over is considered to be an adult. Daily admission is $20. For a child 3 to 12, it's $10, and children 2 and under are free. And if you look at what it costs to go to an Astros game, a Rockets game, a concert, and you look at the value of what you get just, and this is not the grounds doesn't include the rodeo, but if you look at all the entertainment, you can spend the entire day doing a lot of different things on the grounds that are free. One of my favorite things to do when I come to the rodeo every day, I go into the horse arena, and there may be cutting horse competition, there may be the donkey and mule pool, there may be ranch rodeo, and all of that is just free. Just walk into the horse arena and see what's going on.
Well, and I love going in to see the students showing their animals and the care they've taken with those animals, and it really shows the level of commitment these kids put into their craft.
Yes, I will tell you that kids that raise an animal, a project, and show at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, I can guarantee you when you talk to those kids, it's always yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. These are kids that, I mean, they understand what's important in life. And caring for an animal teaches kids a tremendous amount about responsibility, respect for time commitment. So our kids that show, and it's a long process to get from starting with an animal to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
Yeah, and those kids deserve everything they get when those animals sell, and it's a great. I always like going there, and the education value for a Rodeo Houston ticket inside the arena is amazing. You've got the bees, the poultry exhibit. It's almost a museum.
Better than that, and you might be interested to know that last year in the poultry exhibit, since you brought that out, people were able to watch 760 chicks be born. We have a birthing center where there's a possibility to see calves, goats, pigs being born. So there's a lot of things going on like that are just experiences that city folks may not have an opportunity to ever see unless they come to the rodeo.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your dedication to the rodeo. You're an old pro at this. Do you have some tips for either the first time attendees or people that maybe haven't gone as much as others?
Sure. I would tell you that I think it would be, the rodeo has developed a really great interactive app that you can find by just searching for one word, Rodeo Houston. You'll find it in the Apple and Google app stores. It's free to download, and it's an interactive map. You always want to double check facts, but you always want to double check some of the interactive things, like there's a parking section, but I would tell you that the parking section, although it's trying to be real time, sometimes it's not quite as accurate as it may be. But the app itself, wonderful, gives you lineup, gives you all kinds of things. The other thing is, if people are not particularly phone savvy, the first thing to do coming onto the grounds would be find somebody in a teal-colored vest. Those are our directions and assistance volunteers, and ask them for a visitor's guide. There is a print visitor's guide, and it has day by day, it has maps of the grounds, and then it also has what's going on day by day, agenda by building, by activity. So I always recommend people get the visitor's guide. I talked about going to the horse arena. There's a lot that goes on free. This past weekend, we announced the 72 lots that will be in the school art auction. And all of our school art auction winners, their art will be displayed in the Hayloft Gallery, which is on the first floor of the NRG Center, where the livestock and commercial exhibitors are. I would also say check out Rodeo Houston website. There's a lot of information there. It talks about the special days that we're having: Armed Forces Appreciation Day, Black Heritage Day, Go Tejano Day, First Responders Day, the Community Day, community event. So those are the kinds of things that if people are first time coming to the rodeo, those are some things that will make their day a little bit more manageable, and they'll get the best bang for their buck if they plan ahead.
Because it can be overwhelming.
It can be.
People don't realize just the scale of this event. It is literally, it takes place over acres and acres of ground.
Last year, both attendance on the ground and into the show, we had total attendance of just over 2.4 million guests during the rodeo and barbecue cook-off.
Amazing.
So it really is.
Well, thanks again, Richard. Great to see you.
Jameson, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to visit with you about the rodeo.
Absolutely.